Hi guys, welcome to Root Stem, and in this video I'm going to be looking at the new set of FAQs Games Workshop just dropped on all of us. Hi guys, as of recording this, Games Workshop has just dropped a load of new erratas on to our good playing selves, and they seem to have not been able to sync up their repeaters properly, but never mind. Sorry. That's me being pedantic. Right. So, on the 7th of Jan, there is a bunch of new erratas that Games Workshop has released. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to go through all of them on one video. Basically, I'm going to break these down into what does apply to me and how I feel about certain changes. I'm going to go through the changes with you guys if you've not already seen them. And let's go through them and just see if it's going to be a good thing or if it's going to be a bad thing. Let's get some opinions. So in this first video, we are going to be looking at the core rules. And core rules can be quite easy to... There'll be probably some little changes that make a major difference to the game. And then there'll be big changes, or what people think are big changes, that make no difference to the game whatsoever. I've already read these designers' notes before, but that's basically... I'll be honest with you, a lot of these are telling people that cover still exists as true line of sight. And in this one here, it basically stating that when you roll 2d3, and if you roll less than 3, as an example, you get 3 attacks, not 3 on each dice. Which, if you've been doing that, you're just a bit of a tool, if I'm completely honest. Next up, we're going to be looking at reinforcement. This is a very perplexing rule that I've come across. I've never thought about this before, the fact that you kind of measure bases there to there, and it could affect the charge distance on the level. I'll be honest with Games Workshop, come on. This is possibly one of the worst looking example pictures I have ever seen you guys do. That's awful. Anyway, off that particular topic, this is just confirming something that you can effectively, even though you might be 9 inches away, you can have an 8-inch charge. I'm not 100% sure because of this how that would work. If someone wants to put it into the comment below, I'll happily let somebody else try and explain it properly to me. Me and my friends tend to say that you've still got to roll, you've got to roll 9 regardless. But I think that's because we just like to get on with it rather than having to be pedantic with certain rule types. Now, they've clarified some of this deploying of large models, such as aircraft. Again, this doesn't really affect me that much because I tend to just use the rule, not as written, but I just use its base. I'm not using its wingspan or anything else. I'm just using the base that the model is on to determine measurements, to determine, if it's within so many inches of someone, or if it's outside of a deployment zone, or if it's off the table. I just always use the oval base that a lot of these models come with. For me, even not on the tabletop, they are literally a flying vehicle. So if they're slightly overhanging, that's something that I'm not really preoccupied with. I like the fact that as well, I didn't mention it, but they've actually clarified some of this. You've still got to be able to see the aircraft to be able to shoot it. So if you've got some significant big-ass buildings, you can still put them in the way. Psychic actions are classified as a psychic power. So anything that effectively states that you are getting off a psychic power is going to be triggered. I'm wondering if it's... I wonder if manifest of any other powers. I suppose if it's got a warp charge, then you could probably try and attempt to nullify it, or if you've got some... Necrons used to have a stratagem for it. I can't remember if they have one now, but effectively just clarifying that psychic actions are definitely psychic powers. Out of phase rules and embarkment on transports. This will be interesting. Alright, we wish to add an example to explain how the out of phase rules applies to units. Alright, I thought it just applies to unit. When a unit uses a rule to make a move as if it were a movement phase, all the normal rules that would apply in a movement... Sometimes with these, I do read them and think to myself, how? how? How do people... Why do Games Workshop have to clarify this? It's just easy. It's just easy. Just leave it alone. Why is someone to be so... And there's been no tolerance for them to see any of this manipulation of the rules. It does confuse me a little. Embark. Unless otherwise stated, other units' abilities have no effect on the unit while they are embarked. Again, if you're inside a transport, you can't be hit. Look out, sir. That one has already been changed. We already know about that. Fortifications. I am going to mention this one because this one's a bit odd to me. Fortifications. When the unit fortification rules terrain features are part of your army, unless otherwise stated, when setting up fortifications, cannot be set up within 3 inch of any other terrain feature. That's a big distance, especially if you're playing on some of the smaller terrain boards, apart from hills, of course. You're not really going to be able to put a fortification down. And apparently, if it cannot be deployed, it counts as being destroyed. What is the point? People are just not going to bother playing with fortifications. I wouldn't bother. Why are you going to have a big-ass bunker when if you're playing with a hell of a... You go to an opponent's house and he puts lots of terrain down and you can't put a unit down. If you're going to use this, to me, if you're going to use fortifications, you're allowed to remove a piece of terrain from your deployment zone or what's majority in your deployment zone to be able to replace it with the fortification. Jobs are good and simple, done. I don't understand any of that crap. Well, I do understand that one. That is stupid. But I don't understand that. I really don't. That basically means that, oh yeah, I'm going to have to pick the terrain piece with no... Let's make sure we've got no terrain in our deployment zone so we can use the fortifications. Go to... Jesus. What a load of crap. Oh yes, the old heavy cover. And that was definitely wrong when that was first put there. Right, while we stand, we fight. So this is one of the mini objectives. Identify 3 of the units with the highest points value, excluding fortifications. I'll be honest, if you wanted to do that, stick something in the fortification, although fortification's dead, according to this section here. No. If your army has 3 or fewer units, you instead identify all the units of the army. Yeah, well, score 5 victory points for each of the units destroyed. Split into smaller several units during the game. All the separate units, excluding drones, must be destroyed. Well, I suppose that's the thing that, turn them into smaller units. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, older ones. Magenta Crusade mission pack. The enforcement units can never arrive on the battlefield in the first battle round, but strategic reserve units can if a mission selected states so, i.e. recon patrol. If during the first battle round a unit arrives from instructor. So that's just clarifying something that they've messed up by the looks of that. Add 1 to the numerical. Oh. Go away with your silly things. Supply cache. They control 2 or more objective markers. Alright. Okay. Rare rules. So basically stating that you can't use the offensive stratagem if a unit is going to be fighting last. Makes sense. If a unit was performing an action, that action immediately fails. Well, yeah. Attacks that take multiple hit rolls, or make multiple hit rolls. So, if a rule tells you to make more than 1 hit roll for each attack, each hit roll is treated as a separate attack. Maybe, oh Christ, I can't believe somebody actually thought that was going to be the same. Never mind. Charging aircraft. Well, impossible to end any kind of move within engagement range of an enemy aircraft. However, many aircraft models have an ability. Airborne, that specifically says it can only be charged by enemy units that can fly. Such rules take precedence over those in the core book. Wonder how many flyers are going to be removed from said armies due to that little rule there. Disembark large models. Really? Come on, folks. I've had to put that rule in. Surely Gamers Prerogative of just saying, yeah, don't worry about it. It's too big of a model. It's got a huge base. Don't matter as long as your majority of the base is within 3 inches. Yeah. Resolving abilities, we're moving off. I would have thought so. This is just a clarification on preventing reinforcement units from setting up, basically saying that you can still set up if it's within an inch of your own battlefield edge and wholly within your deployment zone. So that stops those people from just completely spreading out and just stopping anything from coming on the table if you've managed to spread out like that. I can't see how you would unless you've got a hell of a lot of those, is it incursors? I don't know, the Marines that stop stuff within 12 inch. Defensive rules that apply to attacks with specific characteristics. Some rules only apply. So basically what this is saying here is that if you've got something that increases or decreases the minus of, say for example, you're going against Steel Legion tanks, they ignore things with a -1. If you've got something with that's increased the minus to, say, a -2, then the rule for a Steel Legion would not apply. But if you've got something that would increase it from 0 to -1, then it would apply and go back down to 0 again. I kind of thought that's how it worked anyway, but thank you very much, Workshop, for making sure that it's canon. So some rules enable units to split up with 2 or more units. Ooh. So abilities, stratagems, psychic powers will continue to affect all individual units in... Ooh. So if you've got a rule that allows you to split part way through a turn, as an example, and you put a stratagem on them, both sides are going to get that split. That'd be quite cool. Although I do think a lot of stratagems for units that don't tend to apply until later phases. You've probably got to split your units in the command phase now. So, shooting while embarked on a transport. This is lengthy. Some rules, such as open topped, enable units to shoot and make range attacks. Yes, they do. So stratagems cannot be used on the unit. And it cannot use the command reroll stratagem. Ooh, that's interesting. Measuring distance is any point of a transport. We knew that already. If a transport makes a normal move, advance, fell back, or remain stationary, back units are considered the same. I kind of guessed that. All transport runners will have engagement range unless the ability of a transport model has allow its passengers to shoot whilst embarked states otherwise. The models embarked on a unit make ranged attacks. Cannot make ranged attacks except with pistols. Again, I thought that was standard, but evidently it is not. Last unit embarked is not affected by the abilities, including no abilities of any other unit, even if a unit is also embarked within the same transport model. I know that because if you went inside fortifications, you don't get no benefit. Apologies there, boys and girls. Bit of a coughing fit. Right, okay. Any abilities, including detachments, continue to apply. Including detachment abilities, continue to apply whether make range attacks. Oh, well, that makes sense. Restrictions applied to the transport. Restrictions applied to the same to the guys. Alright, so basically, if your transport is under a modifier for ranged attacks to hit one rolls, the same modifier applies each time an embark model makes a ranged attack. Oh, that's interesting. Got a captain re-rolling the wounds there. Although, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know that many open top Space Marine apart from... It's that weird new Rhino thing. Is that open topped? Might be. Desperate breakout and rules preventing units from falling back. Yeah. A lot of the black ones I'm just ignoring because, of course, I've probably gone through them already. Stratagems and refunds. Yep. Right. Okay. Transports and rules that count as remaining stationary. Some rules allow a unit to having remained stationary even if that model has moved during its movement phase. Okay. Transport models subject to the rule. Embark models cannot disembark. Right. Okay. So basically people are using that rule, remain stationary, to state that the transport is counted as remain. I actually just thought remain stationary really just applied to your shooting phase. I didn't think it applied to any other phases. And we seem to get a little glossy about moving normally. Now, I had heard a rumour that there was changes to who goes first. But I'm honest, I'm not seeing, unless I've skipped completely past it. I can't... No. I can't see a rule that tells me that when you roll to see who goes first, the winner of the roll-off has to go first. I cannot see that. This is very perplexing, unless, of course, it's in some form of mission pack. So, after looking, I cannot find, it should be page 281 or 282, I believe, which there isn't anything here. So, the actual missions from the main rulebook will still be whoever rolls the highest gets the first turn, I'm guessing. That's interesting. Oh, well, I think the next one I'm going to look at is probably going to be the mission pack from 2020, because I do have that book. I don't really have the other one with the terrain, because I think, personally, that was a bit of a dud, and I wasn't interested in it one bit. But I was interested in the 2020 mission pack, and if I remember correctly, I think it's told people to probably not bother with rulebook if they're just going to be doing tournament play. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching this short and sweet video as I go through the lovely blue changes to our illustrious core rules. That one's a little bit cheeky. I can't really see a lot of others. Many of these are just clarifications, not really changing much in the way that the armies or games are probably going to play. That one might do, though, fighting first with the counter-offensive stratagem. That might actually come on when I'm playing against certain units with Guard and Eldar. But apart from that, that seems to be about it. Oh well, thank you very much for watching this short and sweet video. If you like what you see, please give us a like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button if you do want to see more. It does help us out a lot by doing that, because it helps us with the algorithm. And not only that, if you watch a couple of adverts, it sometimes puts a couple of quid in our pockets, allowing us to be able to do more of this. And if you don't like it, sod off. Well, thanks very much for watching, guys, and we'll probably see you in about 5 minutes when I've got another video uploaded.